When we think of turtles, most of us picture slow, armored reptiles basking in the sun or swimming lazily through rivers. But hidden beneath their shells lies one of the strangest survival tricks in the animal kingdom. Some turtles can actually breathe through their butts. Yes, you heard that right. In times of need, these reptiles don't rely only on lungs or nostrils. Instead, they turn to an unlikely backup system built into their bodies. During harsh winters, when lakes freeze over and oxygen in the water drops dangerously low, turtles like the Fitzroy River turtle or the North American painted turtle rely on cloacal respiration. This bizarre adaptation allows them to extract oxygen directly from water through specialized sacs in their rear end. In essence, their butts become natural gills, keeping them alive when other creatures would suffocate. It might sound ridiculous, almost like a joke from a cartoon, but cloacal breathing is a finely tuned evolutionary trick that has allowed turtles to survive in extreme environments for millions of years. For scientists, it's a fascinating glimpse into nature's creativity. For us, it's one of those unbelievable truths that prove reality can be stranger than fiction. So, how exactly does butt breathing work? And why did turtles evolve such a strange ability? Today, we dive into the watery world of cloacal respiration and reveal the survival secrets of turtles that cheat death with one of nature's weirdest hacks. Turtles are often thought of as survivors from a different age, long before humans built civilizations, long before mammals ruled the land, and even before dinosaurs reached their peak. Turtles had already perfected the art of endurance. Their shells became shields. Their slow metabolisms made them masters of patience, and their ability to adapt allowed them to spread across rivers, lakes, and oceans. Yet among their many tricks, one stands out as the strangest: cloacal respiration, or as people like to call it, breathing through the butt. The very phrase provokes laughter. It sounds absurd, almost unbelievable. But nature is never bound by human logic. Evolution experiments with whatever works, and in the case of turtles, this strange adaptation became a life-saving strategy. Imagine a frozen lake in the dead of winter. Beneath the ice, oxygen levels drop as plants stop photosynthesizing and decomposition consumes what little air remains. Fish struggle, frogs burrow into the mud, but turtles, they simply slow down, lower their heart rate, and rely on their cloaca to extract what little oxygen lingers in the water. To understand how remarkable this is, we first need to picture the cloaca itself. For most reptiles, it is a multi-purpose chamber, handling waste, reproduction, and sometimes even egg-laying. But in certain turtles, the cloaca contains specialized sacs lined with blood vessels, functioning almost like gills. Water flows in and out, oxygen diffuses across thin membranes, and carbon dioxide escapes. The process is quiet, hidden, and astonishingly efficient. Without this ability, many turtles would suffocate long before spring returned. Scientists first noticed this phenomenon when studying overwintering painted turtles in North America. Researchers wondered how these animals could survive submerged under ice for months at a time without surfacing. Traditional lung breathing was impossible. When they examined the turtles' physiology, they found evidence of cloacal respiration. It wasn't just a backup, it was the primary method of oxygen intake during those critical months. The Fitzroy River turtle of Australia takes this adaptation even further. Nicknamed the bum-breathing turtle, it can obtain up to 70% of its oxygen through cloacal respiration when submerged. This remarkable efficiency allows it to remain underwater for extended periods, hiding from predators and conserving energy. In evolutionary terms, it's a game changer. Predators that expect turtles to surface for air often find themselves waiting in vain. Yet, cloacal breathing is not about convenience. It is about survival in hostile environments. In stagnant waters where oxygen is scarce, in rivers choked with sediment, or in ponds sealed beneath thick sheets of ice, this adaptation spells the difference between life and death. The turtles that mastered this trick endured, while others perished. Over millions of years, the lineage carrying this adaptation spread and thrived. From a human perspective, the idea is both funny and unsettling. We laugh at the phrasing, but beneath that laughter lies awe. A creature that can transform what we consider a waste outlet into a lifeline demonstrates just how creative evolution can be. It challenges our sense of normal, reminding us that biology is filled with solutions we would never design ourselves. The survival of these turtles also underscores the importance of slowing down. Unlike mammals that burn energy rapidly, turtles enter a state of metabolic depression during winter. Their heart may beat only once every few minutes. Their blood becomes more acidic as lactic acid builds up, but their shells help buffer this imbalance by absorbing and storing excess acids. Combined with cloacal breathing, this slow-motion lifestyle turns the turtle into a master of endurance, capable of waiting out months of deprivation. In indigenous cultures, turtles often symbolize resilience, patience, and longevity. Their strange abilities only reinforce these associations. Imagine telling a story around a fire about a turtle that breathes through its butt to survive the long winter. Listeners might laugh, but they would also understand the deeper lesson. Survival sometimes requires humility, adaptation, and unexpected strategies. Modern documentaries often highlight the weirdness of cloacal respiration, but for scientists, it is not just a curiosity. It is a window into the extremes of vertebrate physiology. Few other air-breathing animals have developed such a radical solution. Studying these turtles provides insights into how bodies can function under oxygen deprivation, knowledge that may even have implications for human medicine. If we could mimic or harness similar adaptations, perhaps we could improve treatments for patients suffering from hypoxia, or develop new ways to preserve organs for transplantation. And so, what began as a strange observation, turtles breathing through their butts, becomes part of a much larger story. It is about endurance in hostile environments, about nature's refusal to play by human rules, and about the creativity of evolution itself. Cloacal respiration is not a joke. It is a masterpiece of survival, sculpted by millions of years of trial and error. Even today, as climate change alters ecosystems and winters grow harsher in some regions while droughts plague others, the turtle's bizarre adaptation remains a shield. Where others may falter, these creatures persist. The butt-breathing turtle reminds us that survival belongs not only to the strong or the swift, but also to the adaptable. During the coldest parts of winter, lakes in northern regions freeze solid. Beneath that ice, life slows almost to a standstill. Fish cluster at the bottom, conserving what little oxygen remains. Frogs bury themselves in the mud, entering a state of suspended animation. But painted turtles remain awake, their bodies functioning at the lowest possible level. They rely on cloacal respiration to keep a faint trickle of oxygen moving into their blood, just enough to prevent death. To picture this survival, imagine the turtle resting motionless at the lake bottom. Its shell is coated with fine silt, camouflaging it against the mud. Its lungs lie quiet, barely expanding. Instead, water flows gently in and out of its cloacal opening. The movement is subtle, invisible to most observers. Yet within those hidden sacs, oxygen molecules are slipping into the bloodstream. This is survival on the edge, life maintained by the faintest breath through an unlikely passage. For months, the turtle remains like this. It does not eat, it does not swim, it does not bask in sunlight. Every aspect of its existence has narrowed to endurance. It is a biological waiting game, a test of patience against the merciless cold. When spring finally arrives and the ice melts, the turtle stirs. Its lungs awaken, its body warms, and it crawls to the surface to gulp fresh air. The long winter is over, survived by butt breathing. The Fitzroy River turtle adds another twist. Living in warm Australian waters, it does not face icy imprisonment. Instead, it uses cloacal breathing as a strategy for stealth. By staying underwater for hours, it avoids predators that expect it to surface. It slips quietly through the riverbed, rising only when absolutely necessary. In this way, cloacal respiration becomes not just a survival mechanism, but also a defensive advantage. Scientists studying these turtles were amazed by how efficient the cloacal sacs are. Some individuals were observed extracting the majority of their oxygen needs this way. Their cloacal bursae, lined with thin membranes and dense blood vessels, function almost like a pair of biological gills. The flow of water is steady, the exchange continuous. For an air-breathing reptile, this adaptation is nothing short of extraordinary. But cloacal respiration is not perfect. In extreme conditions, when oxygen levels plummet too far, turtles cannot rely solely on it. They shift deeper into metabolic depression, allowing their bodies to function almost without oxygen. This produces lactic acid, which would normally overwhelm tissues. Yet here again, the turtle's shell saves it. Acting like a sponge, the shell absorbs and neutralizes the acid, buying more time. It is as if the turtle carries not just armor, but also a chemical shield within its bones. The combination of cloacal breathing, slowed metabolism, and shell buffering makes turtles champions of survival. Few other vertebrates could endure such extremes. For humans, just a few minutes without oxygen spells disaster. For turtles, months can pass while they exist in this twilight state. It is not glamorous, but it is effective. Evolution does not reward beauty or dignity, it rewards persistence. To modern observers, cloacal respiration invites humor. Jokes abound about turtles breathing through their butts. But for biologists, the focus is on the ingenuity of nature. It is a reminder that the boundaries we imagine, lungs for air, gills for fish, rears for waste, are not fixed. Life can rewrite the rules when survival demands it. In that rewriting lies some of the most fascinating stories biology has to tell. Children hearing about butt-breathing turtles often laugh first, then ask questions. How does it work? Why do turtles do it? That moment of laughter leading to curiosity is powerful. It transforms strangeness into wonder. Education thrives on such moments. Teachers and documentary narrators use cloacal respiration as an entry point, showing students that science is not always dry facts. Sometimes it is surprising, even silly, and that makes it unforgettable. In popular culture, the image of the butt-breathing turtle has become a symbol of odd but real biology. It appears in trivia books, viral videos, and even cartoons. People remember it precisely because it is so strange. Few will forget the first time they learn that turtles can survive winters or avoid predators by using their cloaca as a breathing organ. What begins as humor becomes a lasting memory of evolution's creativity, and the deeper lesson is profound. Turtles have been around for more than 200 million years. They survived the extinction that ended the reign of the dinosaurs. They adapted to environments from deserts to oceans. Cloacal breathing is just one of many tools that made this possible. It shows that survival is not always about strength or speed. Sometimes it is about quiet persistence, about embracing the unexpected, about turning even a humble body part into a key to life. In the still waters of early spring, when ice begins to crack and sunlight filters down again, the turtle emerges slowly from its winter trance. Its body, stiff and sluggish, warms gradually. The lungs, which have been quiet for months, expand once more with fresh air. For the turtle, this transition feels seamless, but to scientists observing, it marks the end of one of the most remarkable endurance feats in nature. The painted turtle of North America is especially famous for this ability. Its habitats often freeze solid in winter, and yet these reptiles endure. When researchers measured oxygen levels beneath the ice, They found that the turtles were surviving in environments almost completely devoid of air. Cloacal respiration was not optional. It was essential. Without it, the turtles would never make it to spring. In laboratory studies, scientists placed turtles in cold water tanks with varying oxygen concentrations. They observed that when oxygen was present, the turtles relied heavily on cloacal breathing. Their cloacal sacs opened and closed rhythmically, drawing in water and filtering out oxygen. When oxygen ran low, their metabolic rates plummeted. Heart rates slowed dramatically, sometimes dropping to just 1 or 2 beats per minute. This research revealed a fascinating picture of resilience. The turtle's survival strategy is layered. First, cloacal respiration provides oxygen. If that is insufficient, metabolic depression reduces demand. If acids build up, the shell buffers them. Each adaptation supports the other, creating a system so robust it can withstand months of deprivation. The Fitzroy River turtle, meanwhile, is a champion of efficiency. Its cloacal breathing capacity allows it to spend long stretches underwater, rarely surfacing for air. Locals sometimes called it the bum-breathing turtle, with a mix of humor and respect. For predators, this meant frustration. Waiting for the turtle to surface was often futile. It remained hidden below, unseen and unreachable. From an evolutionary perspective, cloacal breathing is a marvel. Reptiles are not expected to possess such an adaptation. They are air breathers, descendants of ancient amphibians that left gills behind. Yet here, evolution circled back, carving out a new pathway. The cloaca, normally just a multi-purpose chamber for waste and reproduction, became a lifeline. Evolution did not restore true gills, but it created something good enough. For turtles, good enough meant survival. The concept of good enough solutions is central to evolution. Nature does not aim for perfection. It does not design with elegance in mind. It tinkers, it reuses, it reshapes. Cloacal respiration is one such improvisation. A body part meant for one purpose is co-opted for another. The result may look strange, even comical to human eyes, but in the harsh test of survival, it works. That is all that matters. Stories of cloacal breathing also highlight the role of patience in survival. Turtles are not fast. They do not chase down prey or outrun predators. Their defense lies in endurance. By slowing their lives to a near halt, by breathing through unconventional means, they outlast the dangers that would overwhelm more active creatures. In a world obsessed with speed and aggression, the turtle thrives by doing the opposite. This adaptation also opens windows into human science. Researchers studying hypoxia, the condition of low oxygen, are intrigued by how turtles endure it. Human brains suffer irreparable damage after just minutes without oxygen. Turtles, by contrast, let their tissues function at minimal oxygen levels for weeks or months. By understanding the molecular mechanisms that make this possible, scientists hope to uncover insights that might one day help human medicine. Imagine the possibilities. If doctors could slow a patient's metabolism during surgery or protect tissues during cardiac arrest, survival rates could improve. If organ transplants could be preserved longer by mimicking turtle physiology, countless lives might be saved. Cloacal respiration, odd as it sounds, might hold clues to future breakthroughs. Beyond medicine, the turtle's story carries cultural weight. Across the world, turtles symbolize endurance, wisdom, and longevity. Their strange adaptations only deepen that symbolism. The idea of breathing through the butt may invite laughter, but it also inspires wonder. It shows that survival is not always straightforward. Sometimes life requires bending the rules, using what is available, and transforming weakness into strength. In classrooms, teachers often begin lessons with the butt-breathing turtle as a hook. Students laugh, then listen closely. The humor opens the door, but the science keeps their attention. In the end, they leave with an unforgettable fact, and with it, a deeper respect for the creativity of evolution. So the next time someone mentions turtles, think beyond the shell. Think beyond the slow crawl across the road. Picture instead a quiet survivor beneath frozen water, drawing breath not through its lungs, but through the most unlikely of organs. That image captures the paradox of nature, strange, funny, and awe-inspiring all at once. In scientific literature, cloacal respiration is often described in calm, technical terms. Researchers write about cloacal bursae, gas exchange efficiency, and metabolic suppression. But if we strip away the jargon and truly imagine the scene, it feels almost otherworldly. A turtle sits at the bottom of a frozen pond, encased in silence, unmoving for months. Its cloaca pulses softly, drawing in water. Within the hidden chambers of its body, oxygen diffuses across membranes, sustaining life against the odds. It is both mundane and miraculous. The painted turtle is the most studied example. Found across North America, it endures winters that seem impossible for reptiles. When ponds and lakes seal under ice, the turtle sinks into the mud. Here it waits, cloacal sacs working quietly, its metabolism slowed to the bare minimum. Researchers have recorded these turtles surviving up to 4 months without surfacing. During this time, their heartbeats drop so low they can be difficult to detect. Yet when spring comes, they re-emerge alive and well, ready to bask in the sun. What makes cloacal respiration fascinating is how specialized it is. Not all turtles can do it. Sea turtles, for example, rely primarily on lungs and do not possess the same level of cloacal adaptation. The trait appears in certain freshwater species, particularly those facing environments where oxygen can become scarce. It is an evolutionary response to specific challenges, not a universal turtle feature. That distinction adds to its mystery. Why here and not everywhere? Part of the answer lies in environment. Freshwater habitats, especially in temperate and tropical regions, are prone to extremes. Ice in winter, stagnation in summer, sediment after floods. All these conditions can strip oxygen from the water. Turtles that could find a workaround had better chances of survival. Over generations, those with enhanced cloacal bursae passed on their genes. Slowly, the ability spread and strengthened. Evolution does not rush. It shapes over millions of years. The Fitzroy River turtle showcases just how far this adaptation can go. Native to Queensland, Australia, it has become famous for spending long hours submerged, drawing most of its oxygen through cloacal respiration. Locals tell stories of spotting these turtles rarely surfacing, as if they belong more to the water than to the air. Scientists studying them confirmed that as much as 70% of their oxygen intake can come through the cloaca. In the animal kingdom, such efficiency is almost unheard of. For the turtle, this means freedom. It can remain hidden in the riverbed, feeding on aquatic plants and avoiding detection. Predators, expecting a desperate gasp at the surface, are left waiting in vain. Cloacal breathing has turned a vulnerability into a shield. What seems absurd from the outside is deadly serious in the struggle for survival. But there is another layer to the story. Cloacal respiration is not just about breathing. It is about the interconnectedness of adaptations. The turtle's slow metabolism, its acid buffering shell, and its ability to remain motionless all work together. Remove one piece, and the whole system collapses. Evolution built not just a single trick, but an orchestra of survival mechanisms, each playing its part. The image of turtles enduring under ice also reshapes our idea of resilience. We often imagine survival as a matter of struggle, fighting, clawing, and resisting. The turtle teaches a different lesson. Sometimes survival comes through stillness. By lowering its needs, by accepting the limits of its world, it persists. There is a quiet wisdom in this, one that cultures around the world have long recognized. In indigenous myths, turtles often carry the world on their backs or symbolize the foundation of life. Their ability to endure harsh winters by breathing through their cloaca fits neatly into this symbolism. It is a reminder that the humble and the strange can hold extraordinary power. Even a butt can become a gateway to survival. Modern science continues to probe the details. Researchers dissect the fine structure of cloacal, measuring oxygen absorption rates. They test turtles in varying water conditions, tracking how behavior changes. Some experiments even explore the genetic basis of the trait, searching for clues in DNA. Each finding deepens our understanding of how flexible life can be. And beyond pure science, there are whispers of practical applications. If turtles can endure months with minimal oxygen, what might this teach us about human medicine? Could we learn to protect brain cells during strokes, to extend the viability of organs awaiting transplant, to push the boundaries of survival in emergencies? The answers remain speculative, but the possibilities inspire. Evolution, after all, has already solved problems we still struggle with. For the general public, cloacal respiration will probably always be known by its nickname, butt breathing. The phrase sticks because it is funny, because it is shocking, because it is impossible to forget. Yet behind the humor lies a story that is deadly serious. For the turtles, this adaptation is no joke. It is the line between life and death, and that makes it one of the most fascinating tales nature has to offer. The phrase, breathing through the butt, tends to dominate attention. But to truly appreciate this adaptation, we need to step back and see it in the wider context of turtle evolution. Turtles as a group are ancient. Their fossil record stretches back more than 200 million years, to the time when the first dinosaurs walked the earth. Through countless environmental upheavals, through mass extinctions, they persisted. Each adaptation they carry today is a remnant of survival through those turbulent times. Cloacal respiration is one of the most peculiar, but it fits into a long pattern of ingenuity. Consider their shells. The turtle shell is not just armor. It is a living part of the skeleton, fused with the spine and ribs. It provides protection, but it also serves as a buffer during oxygen debt. When lactic acid builds up in the body, the shell absorbs and stores it, helping the turtle endure. Pair this with cloacal breathing, and you have an animal uniquely equipped to withstand low oxygen environments. One adaptation supports the other, forming a survival toolkit. Field studies often highlight just how unremarkable turtles seem when observed in their habitats. They move slowly, bask in the sun, nibble on plants or invertebrates. Yet beneath this quiet exterior lies a physiology that borders on the extraordinary. A turtle resting at the bottom of a winter pond may look like little more than a lump of mud. In truth, it is running a biological experiment that few other creatures could survive. The importance of cloacal breathing becomes even clearer when comparing turtles to other reptiles. Snakes, lizards, and crocodiles all rely heavily on lungs. None possess the cloacal bursae needed for significant gas exchange. In extreme conditions, these animals would suffocate. Turtles alone among reptiles have found this loophole, this strange detour back toward something resembling gill breathing. It makes them stand out not only to scientists but also to storytellers, searching for examples of nature's creativity. Of course, cloacal respiration is not limitless. It works best in cold conditions where the turtle's metabolic demands are low. In warmer water, oxygen needs rise, and cloacal breathing cannot keep up. The animal must surface to gulp air. This balance explains why painted turtles survive under winter ice, but still bask eagerly in the sun when spring comes. Their adaptation is powerful, but it's not magical. It has limits, like all things in biology. Even so, those limits are generous enough to allow survival in places that would kill most creatures. Imagine a pond sealed under thick ice for 3 months. Oxygen levels dwindle, fish die, frogs perish, insects vanish. Yet at the bottom, turtles wait. They emerge in spring not as victims, but as victors, proof of evolution's inventiveness. The Fitzroy River turtle brings its own twist to the story. Unlike its northern relatives, It does not face frozen ponds. Instead, its cloacal respiration allows it to spend almost its entire life submerged. It uses its cloaca not just as a backup, but as a primary tool. Divers who encountered these turtles in Queensland rivers note how rarely they surface. To see one rise for air is almost a rarity. They are creatures of the water, perfectly adapted to life below the surface. Unfortunately, this very adaptation makes the Fitzroy River turtle vulnerable. Dams and pollution threaten the quality of its waters. If oxygen levels drop too low or flow patterns change, even cloacal breathing may not be enough. Conservationists warn that such unique creatures face real risks from human activity. The butt-breathing turtle may be famous, but fame does not guarantee safety. Protecting its rivers is essential if future generations are to marvel at its abilities. When documentaries highlight these turtles, they often face a choice. Do they play up the humor, leaning on the shock value of butt breathing? Or do they focus on the science, showing how this odd ability ties into survival? The best storytellers do both. They capture the laughter first, then guide viewers toward awe. This balance reflects the truth. Cloacal respiration is funny, yes, but it is also profound. It is nature at its most inventive, reminding us that survival can take the strangest of forms. The lesson from these turtles reaches beyond biology. It suggests that resilience does not always come from strength or speed. Sometimes it comes from flexibility, from using what others ignore, from turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. A cloaca, humble and overlooked, becomes a gateway to survival. In that transformation lies a metaphor for endurance in the face of hardship. In some indigenous traditions, turtles already hold symbolic weight as guardians of endurance and longevity. The discovery that they can even breathe through their cloaca only strengthens that symbolism. It reinforces the idea that turtles are survivors not because they are strong or fast, but because they find ways to endure when others cannot. The butt-breathing adaptation becomes more than biology. It becomes a story of persistence written into flesh. Scientists, of course, strip away the symbolism and study the mechanism. They focus on the cloacal bursae, thin, vascularized sacs that branch inside the cloaca. These sacs are lined with blood vessels, and when water flows over them, gases diffuse in and out. The turtle does not gulp water deliberately like a fish does with gills, but the effect is strikingly similar. Oxygen seeps in, carbon dioxide seeps out, and life continues without a single breath of air. One experiment measured oxygen uptake in turtles placed in chilled low-oxygen water. The results showed that cloacal respiration could supply nearly 70% of the animal's needs under such conditions. That is an astonishing figure for what is, in essence, breathing through the rear end. It demonstrates that this is not a gimmick or fringe strategy. It is a core survival tool, one that evolution has polished to remarkable efficiency. Comparisons can be drawn to other creatures that breathe in strange ways. Sea cucumbers expel and draw water through their anus, extracting oxygen with specialized structures. Some fish absorb oxygen through their intestines. Even frogs can use their skin for gas exchange. But turtles push this to a level that astonishes even biologists. A reptile, armored in bone, using cloacal sacs to survive where lungs alone would fail. The cultural impact of this discovery has spread far beyond biology circles. Articles and videos about butt-breathing turtles routinely go viral. Social media lights up with jokes, memes, and disbelief. Teachers use it as a hook in classrooms, capturing student attention before diving into deeper lessons about physiology. What begins as a laugh ends as learning, as the humor opens a door to genuine curiosity about evolution. Yet the humor can sometimes overshadow the seriousness of the science. Cloacal respiration is not just a quirky trivia fact. It is a piece of the puzzle explaining how turtles survived past mass extinctions. It shows how small anatomical changes, extra blood vessels in the cloaca, a tweak in circulatory routing, can produce enormous survival advantages. It underscores the creativity of natural selection in finding solutions where none seem possible. Winter ice, stagnant ponds, tropical rivers, each environment places different demands on turtles. Yet across these scenarios, cloacal breathing provides an answer. It is not universal to all turtles, but where it appears, it changes the survival game completely. This mosaic of adaptations also demonstrates that evolution is not about one perfect design, but about many workable ones. Some turtles thrive without cloacal breathing, others depend on it. Each lineage charts its own course. Modern technology is revealing new layers of this adaptation. High-resolution imaging of cloacal tissues shows microstructures optimized for gas diffusion. Genetic studies suggest that specific proteins in the lining enhance oxygen uptake. These findings raise new questions. Did cloacal respiration evolve multiple times independently, or was it an ancestral trait refined in certain lineages? The answers could reshape how we understand reptile evolution as a whole. For conservationists, highlighting cloacal breathing offers a unique angle to promote protection. People may not rally to save just another turtle, but tell them it is the turtle that breathes through its butt, and suddenly attention spikes. This unusual hook can lead to awareness campaigns, fundraising, and policy support. Quirky science becomes a lever for real-world action. In this way, the adaptation serves not only the turtle, but also the humans working to safeguard it. Ultimately, the story of cloacal respiration is a reminder that life is infinitely inventive. What seems absurd to us is perfectly practical in nature. Where lungs fail, cloacal bursae succeed. Where cold and ice smother oxygen, turtles endure. And where humans laugh, they also learn, discovering in the process that the natural world is stranger, deeper, and far more resilient than we ever imagined. If you were to follow a turtle beneath the surface in winter, you would notice something odd. Unlike fish, which continue to flick their gills, or mammals, which would drown, the turtle simply sits. Its body slows, its heart beats only a few times per minute, and yet it does not die. Water flows gently into its cloacal opening, bathing the internal bursae. No dramatic motion, no visible sign of respiration, just a quiet exchange of gases through hidden tissues. This stillness is part of the magic. Cloacal breathing works best when the turtle is calm, conserving energy. Every muscle movement burns oxygen, and oxygen is precious when you are sealed under ice. By slipping into near hibernation, turtles lowered their demands to match what the cloaca can supply. It is a balancing act. Less activity allows less oxygen intake to suffice. In laboratory studies, painted turtles submerged in oxygen-poor water survived for months without surfacing. When dissected, their cloacal sacs revealed enlarged, highly vascularized linings. These linings acted like sponges for oxygen, soaking up every molecule available. It was as though the turtles carried a hidden set of gills in their rear end, deployed only when crisis struck. The phenomenon fascinates physiologists because it pushes the limits of vertebrate survival. Most animals suffocate quickly when deprived of air. Turtles, by contrast, reveal a loophole. They are not cheating biology. They are expanding its boundaries. Cloacal breathing blurs categories. Are they lung breathers, skin breathers, or gill breathers? The answer is yes, depending on the situation. They are amphibious in method, if not in taxonomy. The adaptation also reshapes how we view habitats. A frozen pond in January may look lifeless, but beneath the ice, turtles endure. They become symbols of patience, outlasting the freeze not by escaping it, but by surrendering to its demands. Where humans see death, turtles see another season of waiting. Cloacal breathing makes that patience possible. For indigenous cultures that watch turtles each winter, such survival becomes a metaphor. The animal that disappears beneath the ice yet re-emerges in spring embodies renewal. Its strange breathing is not visible, but its results are obvious. Survival without apparent effort. Myth blends with biology, creating a story that carries lessons about endurance, transformation, and quiet resilience. From a scientific standpoint, cloacal breathing is not just a curiosity but a challenge. It invites researchers to ask what other hidden tricks lie undiscovered in common animals. If turtles can breathe through their butts, what might other reptiles do? What other backup systems has evolution invented that we overlook because we assume biology is neat and simple? Already parallels appear. Certain fish species absorb oxygen through their intestines. Sea cucumbers use anal respiration as a primary means of survival. Even starfish and sea urchins have cloacal-like water circulation systems. Nature is full of rear-end solutions, yet turtles remain unique among reptiles in perfecting it. Their example proves that survival does not care about elegance. It cares about effectiveness. The human reaction to cloacal breathing is telling. We laugh, cringe, or joke, but beneath that humor lies awe. We recognize that if something as improbable as butt breathing can evolve, then life's possibilities are far wider than we imagine. The same evolutionary creativity that gave turtles cloacal bursae could, under different pressures, have reshaped countless other animals. We may only have glimpsed a fraction of life's repertoire. The practical applications of studying cloacal respiration are still speculative, but intriguing. If scientists can decode how tissues in the cloaca extract oxygen so efficiently, they may uncover principles useful in medicine. Could artificial tissues for oxygen exchange be modeled on turtle cloacal linings? Could life support systems for humans borrow tricks from reptiles? While these questions remain distant, they illustrate how even bizarre biology can spark innovation. Ultimately, cloacal breathing is not about shock value. It is about survival. Survival through winters, through extinctions, through challenges that would crush less adaptable creatures. The turtle carries its secret beneath its shell, waiting for those moments when only the strangest strategies will suffice. And when those moments come, it endures, quietly proving that nature never runs out of tricks. The origins of cloacal respiration reach back millions of years. Fossil evidence cannot directly reveal breathing habits, but it does show us the environments in which ancient turtles lived. Many of those environments, slow-moving rivers, swampy wetlands, ponds that dried or froze, were harsh and unpredictable. A turtle that could survive months of suffocation would have had a huge advantage over one that could not. Thus, cloacal breathing may have been a quiet driver of turtle survival through epochs when other reptiles perished. This ability likely co-evolved with other remarkable turtle traits. Their shells provide armor, but also limit mobility and speed. Lacking agility, turtles had to master patience and endurance. A creature that cannot flee must endure instead, and cloacal breathing became part of that endurance package. It allowed them to wait out winter, to outlast predators by hiding underwater, and to occupy habitats that would have suffocated competitors. Interestingly, not all turtles rely equally on cloacal respiration. The Fitzroy River turtle of Australia is considered a specialist, sometimes using cloacal breathing as its dominant method of oxygen intake. Painted turtles in North America use it seasonally, especially under ice. Other species show only limited ability. This variability itself is a window into evolution. It demonstrates how the same anatomical framework can be enhanced or minimized depending on ecological need. In experiments comparing these species, scientists noted clear anatomical differences. Cloacal bursae in highly adapted turtles were larger, more folded, and more richly supplied with blood vessels. In species that use cloacal respiration only occasionally, these bursae were smaller and simpler. It is as if evolution customized the organ's design based on local demands, carving elaborate gill-like sacs in one species, while leaving only hints in another. This diversity also carries conservation implications. Species most dependent on cloacal respiration may be more vulnerable to changes in water quality. Pollutants, low oxygen, or sedimentation could choke the very tissues they depend upon. Protecting their habitats means more than keeping waters clean for feeding. It means ensuring the invisible breathing structures remain viable. Human encounters with cloacal respiration are often accidental. A fisherman pulling up a turtle in winter may marvel at how long it has been underwater without drowning. Biologists tracking hibernating turtles under ice have used cameras and probes to confirm they are alive despite no visible breathing. Each discovery brings surprise. A creature expected to be suffocated reveals instead a hidden adaptation, breathing quietly through its rear. The phenomenon also highlights the strangeness of evolution's solutions. From a design perspective, cloacal breathing seems ridiculous. Why not evolve gills like fish or antifreeze proteins like some amphibians? But evolution works with what is available. Turtles already had a cloaca for excretion and reproduction. Expanding its role to include respiration required only incremental changes, more blood vessels, thinner walls, slight circulatory tweaks. It was easier to remodel an existing part than to invent a new one. This repurposing is a common theme in evolution. Feathers evolved for insulation before enabling flight. Mammalian middle ear bones began as jaw elements. Cloacal breathing fits into this pattern. A multi-purpose organ bent to a new function, reshaping survival without reshaping the entire creature. It is a reminder that natural selection is not an engineer seeking perfection, but a tinkerer finding workable shortcuts. For the turtles, however, the result is no compromise. It is a winning strategy. Each winter passed beneath ice, each predator evaded by staying hidden, is proof of success. Cloacal breathing may look absurd to us, but to the turtles, it is life itself. One of the most dramatic demonstrations of cloacal respiration comes from the painted turtles of North America. Each winter, thousands of them bury themselves in the muddy bottoms of frozen ponds. Ice seals the surface, cutting off any chance of surfacing for air. For months, they remain submerged, motionless, waiting for spring. Researchers who sampled oxygen levels in these ponds found them dangerously low, yet the turtles endured. Their secret lay not in their lungs, but in their cloacae, quietly sipping oxygen where none seemed available. During this time, the turtles' metabolism drops to extraordinary lows. Their heartbeat slows to a crawl, sometimes only one beat every few minutes. Their blood chemistry changes, tolerating levels of acidity that would kill most animals. Cloacal breathing alone cannot supply all their needs, but combined with this metabolic depression, it becomes enough. The turtles survive by lowering demand to match the limited supply, a partnership between physiology and patience. In contrast, the Fitzroy River turtle of Australia demonstrates cloacal breathing in a more active lifestyle. Even in normal conditions, it draws much of its oxygen through cloacal bursae, allowing it to stay underwater for extended periods without surfacing. Divers who observe these turtles often note how long they remain below compared to other species. For them, cloacal respiration is not an emergency backup, but a daily tool, freeing them from constant reliance on lungs. This duality, backup for some, primary system for others, illustrates how flexible the adaptation can be. Evolution shapes the same basic mechanism into different forms depending on ecological pressures. In icy North America, it becomes a survival parachute. In tropical Australia, it becomes a daily convenience. Both strategies showcase the ingenuity of natural selection. The anatomy behind this feat is fascinating. Inside the cloaca, paired bursae open into thin-walled chambers lined with blood vessels. The tissue is delicate, resembling wet paper, designed to maximize surface area. Blood flows close beneath the surface, allowing oxygen to diffuse easily in and carbon dioxide out. Unlike lungs, there is no active pumping. Instead, water gently flows in and out with body movement or as the turtle shifts in its environment. Efficiency comes not from power but from simplicity. For biologists, studying these structures raises challenging questions. How do they develop during embryonic growth? Do juveniles have the same capacity as adults? Are there genetic switches that enlarge or reduce the bursae depending on habitat? Each question opens another layer of mystery, reminding us that even common creatures like turtles still hold secrets waiting to be uncovered. The evolutionary success of cloacal breathing is measured not only in survival but also in continuity. Turtles are ancient. They survived the extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs. They persisted through ice ages, droughts, and ecological upheavals. While not the sole reason, cloacal respiration contributed to this resilience. It gave turtles a hidden advantage, a survival tool others lacked, enabling them to weather crises that erased less adaptable species. Public fascination with this adaptation continues to grow. Wildlife documentaries highlight it as one of nature's strangest tricks. School teachers mention it to spark curiosity. Social media users spread memes about butt-breathing turtles, turning science into entertainment. Beneath the laughter, however, lies real admiration. People are amazed that something so improbable is real, that life has crafted such an unorthodox yet effective solution. For conservationists, that fascination is valuable. A quirky fact can capture attention more effectively than dry statistics. Campaigns to protect freshwater habitats often highlight the turtle's unusual respiration, using humor as a hook. Save the butt breathers, some slogans proclaim, half joking but entirely serious in their goals. The oddness becomes a rallying cry for real environmental protection. In the end, cloacal breathing is more than trivia. It is a testament to survival against odds, a glimpse into the playful creativity of evolution, and a reminder that the boundaries of biology are far wider than we assume. Where lungs fail, cloacae succeed. Where others perish, turtles endure. That is the quiet power of breathing through the butt. From a distance, cloacal breathing might seem like just another odd quirk of nature. But when studied closely, it reveals how deeply survival strategies are woven into ecosystems. Consider the frozen pond again. Fish dart slowly beneath the ice. Plants release small amounts of oxygen, and turtles remain still, cloacal bursae absorbing every trace of dissolved gas. Without this adaptation, the turtles would suffocate, and their absence would ripple outward. Predators that rely on them would go hungry. Nutrient cycles would shift. What appears to be an individual trick is, in fact, a thread that supports the wider fabric of life. In tropical rivers, the role shifts but remains significant. The Fitzroy River turtle, with its remarkable ability to breathe underwater for long stretches, can exploit niches unavailable to less adapted competitors. It forages in currents that others must leave to breathe, spends more time hidden from predators, and influences the distribution of aquatic vegetation by how and where it feeds. Cloacal respiration, then, is not just survival in isolation. It is a driver of ecological balance. Scientists often stress that evolution does not produce perfection, only solutions that are good enough for survival. Yet, cloacal breathing seems almost ingenious, a repurposing of anatomy that feels clever. By modifying tissues in a region already multifunctional, the cloaca handles waste and reproduction. The turtle gains a respiratory lifeline without sacrificing its other systems. It is a biological hack, a reminder that nature often solves problems through tinkering rather than invention. Public perception of this adaptation reveals much about human psychology. When people first hear butt-breathing turtle, they laugh. Humor disarms them, makes the information memorable. But as curiosity deepens, the laughter shifts to respect. The same fact that inspires memes can also inspire awe. In classrooms, this progression is powerful. Teachers know that a shocking detail opens the door to deeper learning. The butt-breathing turtle is not just biology. It is a teaching tool. Beyond the classroom, cloacal respiration sparks broader reflections. It forces us to reconsider where we draw the line between the absurd and the ingenious. We tend to equate dignity with conventional forms, lungs, gills, clean systems. But evolution has no such bias. To nature, survival is dignity. Whether oxygen comes through nostrils, skin, or cloacal bursae is irrelevant as long as it works. In that sense, the turtle teaches us humility. Strangeness is not failure, it is adaptation. Conservation narratives increasingly rely on such strangeness to gain attention. Campaigns to protect the Fitzroy River turtle in Australia highlight its cloacal respiration as a unique selling point. Local activists know that the image of a turtle breathing through its butt will stick in people's minds. That sticky detail becomes an anchor for deeper engagement. If the species disappears, we lose not just a turtle, but a one-of-a-kind evolutionary story. The medical field, too, has begun to take notice. Research into cloacal bursae could offer insights into alternative oxygenation methods. If thin tissues in turtles can sustain life by extracting oxygen passively, perhaps human medicine can borrow principles for emergency care or life support systems. While these applications remain speculative, they underline a broader truth. Even the strangest biology may someday prove useful to us. At the philosophical level, cloacal respiration challenges our sense of boundaries. Where does identity end when an organ performs an unexpected function? Is a cloaca still just an excretory opening when it doubles as a respiratory organ? Such questions may seem abstract, but they remind us that categories we impose on biology are often too rigid. Nature defies them constantly, and turtles embody that defiance. Ultimately, the turtle's secret is both comic and profound. Comic, because the idea of butt breathing invites jokes. Profound, because it reveals survival where none should be possible. This duality is what keeps the story alive in culture, science, and conservation alike. The turtle is both punchline and parable, both curiosity and cornerstone of ecological resilience. To fully appreciate cloacal breathing, it helps to compare turtles with other winter survivors. Frogs, for instance, survive frozen ponds by producing antifreeze-like chemicals that prevent ice from rupturing their cells. Fish slow their metabolism and rely on gills to pull in what little oxygen remains. Mammals cannot tolerate these conditions at all. They would drown in minutes. Against this backdrop, turtles appear almost miraculous. They carve out a niche by doing something no other reptile dares, turning an organ of waste into an organ of life. The mechanics of this adaptation are deceptively simple. Thin tissue, rich with capillaries, exposed to flowing water, that is all it takes. Yet the simplicity is deceptive because it requires profound internal coordination. Blood flow must be rerouted efficiently. Waste removal must coexist with gas exchange without interference. The immune system must tolerate the constant contact between delicate tissues and external water filled with bacteria. Each of these hurdles has been overcome by millions of years of refinement. Observations in the field confirm how effective this adaptation is. In frozen lakes of Canada, researchers track turtles with radio transmitters. Weeks passed without surfacing. Oxygen levels in the water dropped near zero, yet the turtles remained alive, their cloacal bursae wringing out every molecule of usable gas. When spring thawed the surface, they rose slowly, alive but unchanged, as though winter had been only a long nap. The Fitzroy River turtle provides another striking example. Unlike its North American relatives, it uses cloacal breathing not just seasonally, but continuously. Divers have documented it remaining submerged for up to 3 days, relying almost entirely on cloacal respiration. For this turtle, the adaptation is not emergency gear, but daily practice, allowing it to exploit habitats and feeding grounds that others must abandon for air. This difference hints at a deeper truth. Cloacal breathing is not a single trait, but a spectrum. Some turtles carry it only as a backup. Others refine it into an essential part of their identity. Evolution does not produce uniformity. It produces options, tested across time and space. In this way, cloacal respiration becomes a living experiment, unfolding differently in each species and ecosystem. Humans, by studying this spectrum, gain insights into resilience itself. We see that survival is not about a universal blueprint, but about flexibility. Turtles endure because their biology bends without breaking. Their cloacal bursae are part of that bend. Strange, yes, but effective. And effectiveness is the only measure evolution honors. Stories about cloacal breathing often end with laughter, but what deserves equal emphasis is reverence. To live submerged beneath ice for months is astonishing. To convert an organ designed for excretion into one capable of respiration is astonishing. To turn ridicule into respect is astonishing. Each turtle that survives another winter is a small miracle, repeating an adaptation that predates human history by millions of years. Conservationists stress that miracles like this are fragile. Pollution, warming climates, and disrupted water cycles threaten the delicate balance cloacal breathing depends upon. Warmer winters may prevent ponds from freezing solid, but they also alter oxygen dynamics, sometimes making conditions worse. Pollutants clog the tissues that absorb oxygen. The very trick that once made turtles resilient could become their vulnerability. Protecting them means protecting the quiet miracle itself. In a sense, cloacal breathing asks us to widen our imagination. When faced with harsh conditions, we often think of strength or speed as solutions. But turtles teach us that patience, stillness, and creative anatomy can achieve the same goal. They remind us that survival is not about fitting human notions of dignity, but about fitting into nature's demands. And sometimes that means breathing through your butt. When biologists first documented cloacal respiration, the reaction in scientific journals was cautious but intrigued. Early papers described it clinically: vascularized sacs, gas exchange efficiency, seasonal use. Yet even in the restrained language of academia, one could sense the astonishment. It is not every day that researchers confirm a reptile breathing through its cloaca. Over time, as more studies appeared, the tone shifted from disbelief to curiosity, and eventually to admiration. The admiration stems from how well the adaptation fits into the turtle's lifestyle. Turtles are not sprinters. They are not ferocious predators. Their defense has always been patience. Withdraw into the shell, outlast the storm, let danger pass. Cloacal breathing extends that philosophy to respiration itself. Why struggle for air when you can wait, calmly absorbing oxygen from the water around you? The very slowness that defines turtles becomes the canvas for their strangest survival trick. Field researchers often tell stories that highlight this patience. In northern lakes, they set up monitoring equipment in midwinter and return weeks later to find the turtles still resting where they left them. Cameras show no frantic movement, no struggle for breath, just a reptile sitting in silence, cloaca gently pulsing, alive because of an adaptation invisible to the casual observer. The footage is haunting, an animal sustained not by dramatic action but by quiet endurance. Such images challenge our human bias toward action. We admire cheetahs for their speed, sharks for their ferocity, birds for their flight. Turtles remind us that survival can also come through waiting, conserving, enduring. Cloacal breathing is not spectacular to watch, but it is spectacular in concept. It is survival by subtraction. reducing need until the minimal trickle of oxygen suffices. The physiology behind this still fascinates. Detailed dissections reveal cloacal bursae arranged like delicate curtains of tissue. Blood vessels weave close to the surface, forming networks that maximize diffusion. In some species, the bursae fold inward to expand surface area, resembling the gill arches of fish. It is convergent evolution, two very different animals solving the same problem with similar designs. Comparisons with amphibians add another layer of intrigue. Frogs absorb oxygen through their skin, but their thin, moist surface makes that possible. Turtles, armored in bone and keratin, cannot. They found another path, repurposing an internal chamber instead. This divergence highlights how many different solutions evolution invents to the same challenge. For every obstacle, there are multiple doors, and cloacal breathing is one that turtles alone opened. Cultural responses, meanwhile, range from humor to reverence. In some communities, tales of turtles surviving impossible winters become legends of wisdom and endurance. In classrooms, the adaptation is an instant attention grabber. Even in media, the idea of butt-breathing turtles appears in headlines that blend comedy with science. The absurdity makes it memorable, and memory is the first step toward appreciation. There's also a broader ecological lesson here. Cloacal breathing does not exist in isolation. It interacts with metabolism, with shell design, with hibernation behavior. Remove any one element and the system might collapse. This interconnectedness mirrors ecosystems themselves. Each adaptation relies on others, each survival trick woven into a larger fabric. The turtle's cloaca is only a small piece, yet without it, winter survival would be impossible. For conservation, this means saving turtles requires more than protecting individuals. It requires protecting frozen ponds, clean rivers, balanced ecosystems. The miracle of cloacal breathing depends on water quality, seasonal rhythms, and intact habitats. When those conditions falter, no amount of anatomical ingenuity can compensate. Evolution can craft wonders, but it cannot shield them from destruction wrought by humans. And so the butt-breathing turtle becomes more than curiosity. It becomes a symbol of fragile resilience. Strange, yes. Funny, yes. But also profound. A reminder that the weirdest tricks of life are often the most vulnerable, and that our laughter should always be accompanied by care. To understand cloacal breathing more fully, scientists have run controlled experiments in aquariums, placing turtles in oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor water, while monitoring their metabolic rates. In oxygen-rich conditions, turtles relied little on their cloacae, surfacing often to breathe with lungs. But when oxygen dropped, their cloacal bursae became active, and the animals spent long periods submerged without distress. This switch showed that cloacal breathing is not just a passive trait, it is a regulated system, turned on and off depending on circumstance. This regulation hints at deeper physiological control. Hormones likely trigger increased blood flow to the cloacal tissues under stress, maximizing oxygen uptake. Neural signals may fine-tune how often water moves through the cloaca. These layers of control remain poorly understood, but they reveal that cloacal respiration is not crude improvisation. It is a sophisticated, integrated function, orchestrated alongside heart rate, metabolism, and immune defense. One striking aspect is how cloacal breathing intersects with the turtle's tolerance for low oxygen overall. Even when water becomes nearly anoxic, turtles can survive by buffering their blood with calcium from their shells. This neutralizes the acid buildup caused by anaerobic metabolism. Cloacal respiration buys them time, extending the window before these extreme measures become necessary. The two strategies together, respiration through the cloaca and buffering through the shell, form a double safety net, ensuring survival even in dire conditions. This combination places turtles among the champions of endurance in the vertebrate world. Other animals have their own tricks. frogs with anti-freeze blood, fish with special gills, but turtles bring multiple strategies together. They are not fast, not flashy, but their arsenal of hidden adaptations has allowed them to persist when others failed. In the evolutionary game of survival, consistency often beats spectacle. From a human perspective, cloacal breathing feels alien. We imagine what it would be like if our own bodies could breathe through unexpected organs, and the thought unsettles us. Yet this discomfort is partly cultural. We assign taboo to certain body parts, but nature does not. For turtles, the cloaca is multifunctional already, handling waste and reproduction. Adding respiration is no more bizarre to them than lungs serving both speech and breathing are to us. This perspective shift is important in education. When students laugh at butt-breathing turtles, teachers can turn that humor into insight. Biology is not bound by human categories. Functions overlap, organs multitask, and what seems strange to us may be elegant to nature. In this way, cloacal respiration becomes not only a survival story but a teaching story about humility, perspective, and the creativity of evolution. Meanwhile, the conservation value of this story grows clearer. The Fitzroy River turtle, once common in parts of Australia, now faces threats from damming and pollution. Because it relies so heavily on cloacal respiration, changes in water flow and quality hit it especially hard. Highlighting its unique breathing has drawn public attention, with campaigns rallying behind the slogan, "Save the Bum Breathers." What began as a joke has become a movement, proof that strangeness can mobilize support where dry facts fail. Biotechnologists, too, watch with interest. If tissues in a turtle cloaca can exchange gases so efficiently, perhaps similar principles could inspire medical devices. Artificial lungs, emergency oxygenation methods, or even underwater breathing aids might one day borrow from cloacal design. The path from turtle ponds to hospital wards is long, but history shows that unlikely adaptations often spark innovation. Velcro came from burrs, sonar from bats. Why not oxygen exchange from turtles? Ultimately, cloacal breathing reminds us of life's capacity to improvise. When ice traps a pond or currents sweep a river, most animals obey their limits. Turtles rewrite theirs. They breathe where they should not, endure where they should fail, and re-emerge each spring as proof of nature's hidden genius. What we call butt breathing is for them simply living. Another tool in the endless experiment of survival. The wonder of cloacal breathing grows when we consider how long turtles have been around. Fossils tell us they first appeared over 200 million years ago, surviving upheavals that erased countless other creatures. Through shifting climates, mass extinctions, and continental drifts, turtles endured. It is tempting to imagine that cloacal respiration, though invisible in stone, was already part of their secret. Even if not in its modern form, the capacity for hidden endurance must have been there, slowly refined until it became a defining trait for some lineages. What makes this endurance so profound is its quietness. Cloacal breathing is not dramatic. It does not roar like a lion or strike like lightning. It hums in silence, an adaptation that reveals itself only under stress. In the frozen stillness of a winter pond, there are no fireworks, only a turtle sitting motionless, cloacal bursae trading molecules with the water. Yet in that quiet exchange lies triumph. Such triumph is not isolated. It echoes across ecosystems. The persistence of turtles shapes food webs, influences plant growth, and provides stability for predators and scavengers. Remove turtles, and the ripples spread. Cloacal respiration may seem like a small detail, but its effects radiate outward, ensuring turtles remain anchors of balance. Evolution's odd solutions often carry disproportionate weight. Humans encountering this adaptation oscillate between amusement and awe. Children giggle at butt breathing, adults shake their heads in disbelief, and scientists marvel at efficiency. This spectrum of reactions underscores a deeper truth. Strangeness is not weakness. In fact, it is often the key to survival. Cloacal breathing embodies this lesson perfectly, reminding us that what seems ridiculous may be brilliant. The mechanics continue to reveal surprises. Recent imaging studies have shown how blood flow in cloacal bursae increases under stress, shunting circulation away from less vital tissues. The turtle's body prioritizes its strange gills, directing resources to the site of survival. This dynamic control demonstrates that cloacal respiration is not a passive trick, but an active system, deeply integrated into the turtle's physiology. Even more intriguing is the timing of its use. Painted turtles often begin relying on cloacal breathing as autumn cools, long before ponds freeze solid. They prepare in advance, shifting metabolism, expanding use of bursae, rehearsing for the long months ahead. It is as though they know what is coming and adjust accordingly. Such anticipatory behavior hints at rhythms embedded in biology. Clocks set not by conscious thought, but by evolutionary programming. From a cultural standpoint, cloacal breathing offers a metaphor that resonates. It shows that sometimes the path to survival lies not in fighting conditions, but in adapting to them creatively. The turtle does not rage against ice or flee from scarcity. It accepts both, finding a hidden route to endurance. For humans, the lesson is clear. Resilience often means bending, yielding, or finding unexpected ways forward. The conservation stakes remain high. As rivers warm and freeze-thaw cycles change, turtles face conditions outside their evolutionary experience. Cloacal respiration buys them time, but time has limits. If oxygen levels drop too low or pollutants clog their bursae, even this miracle cannot save them. Protecting turtles means protecting the integrity of their habitats. The ice, the mud, the slow-moving waters where their strange adaptation shines. Ultimately, the turtle's story is a paradox. It is absurd and profound, comical and solemn, trivial and monumental. Cloacal breathing sits at the intersection of laughter and reverence, science and myth, fragility and resilience. Every time a turtle survives another winter beneath the ice, it affirms a truth. Life is endlessly inventive, and survival often comes in the strangest forms imaginable. As we near the end of this strange journey, it becomes clear that cloacal breathing is not just an oddity, but a masterpiece of adaptation. The turtle, often mocked for its slowness or simplicity, reveals itself as a marvel of survival engineering. It has taken what most animals use for waste and reproduction and transformed it into a life-saving organ. This is not failure. It is ingenuity in its purest form. Think of the frozen pond again. Beneath the thick ice, fish slow their movements, plants wilt, and oxygen dwindles. Yet, at the bottom, half buried in mud, a turtle waits. No lungs rise and fall, no nostrils break the surface. It simply exists, cloaca pulsing softly, alive because it breathes in a way we would never imagine. The picture is humbling. Survival without spectacle, life preserved by patience. For millions of years, this trick has worked. Through ice ages and droughts, through floods and extinctions, turtles endured. They did not need speed or ferocity. They needed only time, and cloacal breathing gave it to them. That is why turtles are still with us today, while so many of their ancient neighbors are gone. For humans, the story is both comic and profound. We laugh at the phrase, butt-breathing turtle. We share it online as trivia. But when we pause, the laughter gives way to awe. Here is proof that life always finds a way, even in the strangest forms. What seems absurd is, in fact, a testament to creativity, resilience, and the endless inventiveness of evolution. And there is a lesson for us, too. Survival does not always require force or brilliance. Sometimes it requires adaptation, endurance, and hidden strategies. The turtle teaches us that dignity can be quiet, that strength can be strange, and that life's most remarkable solutions are often the least expected. Conservationists remind us that this miracle depends on fragile habitats. If polluted waters choke the cloacal bursae, or if warming climates disrupt frozen ponds, turtles may lose their hidden edge. Protecting them means protecting their world, the still ponds, the slow rivers, the delicate ecosystems where patience and adaptation triumph. So next time you see a turtle basking in the sun or gliding through water, remember the secret it carries. Beneath its shell lies an organ that rewrote the rules of survival. Beneath its calm lies a story of winters endured and odds defied. Beneath its strangeness lies beauty. And if the phrase still makes you smile, let it. Humor is part of the gift. Because what begins with laughter often ends with wonder, and with a deeper respect for the creatures that share our planet. And so we arrive at the final breath of our story. A breath not from lungs or nostrils, but from the cloaca of a turtle resting quietly beneath the water. What began as a joke about butt breathing has unfolded into a tale of resilience, creativity, and survival against impossible odds. Cloacal respiration is strange, yes, but it is also a reminder of how endlessly adaptable life can be. Through this adaptation, turtles have endured when others perished. They have taught us that strength is not always loud, that survival is not always glamorous, and that the boundary between absurd and ingenious is often razor thin. From the icy ponds of North America to the flowing rivers of Australia, cloacal breathing has given turtles a secret superpower hidden in plain sight. For scientists, it remains a window into physiology and evolution. For conservationists, it is a rallying cry to protect fragile habitats. For storytellers and teachers, it is a bridge between humor and wonder, turning laughter into learning. And for us, it is a lesson in humility, that life is far stranger and far more resourceful than we give it credit for. So the next time you hear about turtles breathing through their butts, remember, it's not just trivia. It's survival. It's a story millions of years in the making, written not in textbooks, but in living animals that continue to glide through rivers and sleep beneath winter ice. If this story amazed you, don't let it end here. Like this video, share it with friends who love discovering nature's strangest secrets, and subscribe to the channel. Together, we'll keep diving into the bizarre instincts of animals, where humor meets science, and where every strange fact hides a deeper truth about life on Earth.